Okay, guys. All right, my ginger them showing up. My ginger showing up. Okay, but not gonna bother them now because they need a little more time, and we have more time, so I'm not gonna bother them at this moment. But at least we see we have some ginger. I don't know about these spider, but one thing I know, there's some protectors for your garden. I know that for sure. I don't know what they could do to human, but for them bugs, they do their thing, man. All right. This is callaloo. This is a new crop I introduced to my garden this year, late this season. And I'm noticing a lot of seeds, so I'm definitely, this is gonna be a crop I'm growing this season, callaloo. The shisho, this is what you call shisho. The Japanese love shisho. They use the leaf to tea, and they use the leaf for eat with salad. But as we notice, man, these things produce a beautiful flowers, and it also attract a lot of bees. The only thing with this plant, shisho, is very invasive. When I say invasive, what I mean is they produce a lot of seeds. Look at this one plant, and if you notice, it's ton load of seed they produce. And then if you don't get rid of this plant, what's gonna happen is gonna drop all the seed on the ground, and then next spring you're gonna see your garden full with it. So it's something to look into and pay attention to, because you don't want it to take over your garden. But today we want to talk about gardening in the north and gardening in the south. Yes, we want to talk about gardening in the north and gardening in the south. Right now, we in the south. No, we in the north. And if you notice what's going on now, is like garden season still going on in the prime. All right? Still going in the prime. Everything still look green. Peppers, everything still looking green. The grass still looking green. I'm sure in the south is the same thing. But what I want to say is the frost, that comes in the fall, it comes earlier in the south, and then it also come earlier in the spring. No, it come later in the spring. So now, because of that, it made the garden season become shorter for the people in the north, right? So if that's the case, guys, if that's the case, and you as a gardener, the thing you want to do, you want to be preparing, creating a place indoor, whether it's a greenhouse or whether it's a room, whether it's in your garage. You want to create a place indoors that you can actually start your seeds. Start your seeds and able to give them the environment that they can grow in. You want to do that because you have, these plants takes a certain amount of time to grow and to produce. So in that case, you have to start them indoors and able to house them indoors, allow them to grow while they're indoors or in the greenhouse, that you could bring them outside in the spring. So when you bring them outside in the spring, they already start producing not producing, but they reach a stage already that, they're getting ready to get mature. So when you transplant them, or you bring them out in the spring, what's gonna happen? They're gonna have more time because they already spent some time already indoors. Now they have time. The reason why I'm saying that is because if you start them outdoors, when you start them outdoors, now you have a way shorter time because you're bringing your seed outdoors in March, April. Some of the food take 90 days. Some of the crop take 30 days, 45 days, 120 days. So this is the next thing you got to think about. You got to think about what type of food you want to grow because you want to make sure you're able to harvest as much as you can. When you're growing in the north, you have to start, even in the south, a lot of people start indoors. I start a lot of plants indoors, like I start my yam indoors. I start like turmeric indoors. I start like ginger indoors. This is actually yam. Hey Mike, what's up, man? What's up? Yes, this is actually yam growing here. These yam, I start them indoors. Why I start them indoors? Because yam take at least at least a year, 9 months to a year to able to get a crop from them. So what I did, I start them indoors and bring them out in the spring. So if you growing food in the south, in the north, or wherever you're dealing with short growing season, it's best for you to start them indoors, prepare a place for them indoors that you could keep them indoors and make sure they're growing at the same time, not suffering, growing. You don't want to have them inside and they're not growing because that's not helping. You want to have them in an area where they're growing and they're doing well. They mightn't be able to grow as fast as if they're outside, but at least make sure they're growing. Hey, the front porch garden, how you doing? Thank you for being here. Yes, like turmeric. This is turmeric. I start these indoors. Peppers, I start the pepper indoors. Ginger, I start ginger indoors. You see? And I'm actually growing in the north. It's going out of business. Oh, really? All right, all right. Yes. So I'm growing in the north, but there's certain plant I still try to grow to start indoors. The reason why I'm starting them indoors, because that's the only how I will able to get a crop from them. If I start them outdoors, like for instance, you trying to start a garden, but you starting pepper seed in March outdoors. That's not gonna work. You wanna plant them indoors, only before the frost. So when the frost come, they already reach a stage. When you bring them out now in the spring, they already start the process of growing already. Not sowing seed for them to germinate. The growing season will be too short and it's not gonna work for you. If it's best to invest in a greenhouse or create a space indoor that you could actually get to start your seed. Is important to, if you're growing from seed, it's important to start from indoors. You see, right now we in October, but if you notice, the plants them still doing well, they're still producing. These are okra that I leave for seeds. Okay. These are okras I leave for seeds. You see, so all this is seeds that I can reset. Now, with the okra, I start some of my okra indoors and some of them outdoors. Why? Because okra produce pretty fast. Okra produce pretty fast. So you could do that. But for the people in the south, you got to be careful. Hey, Lashos, what's up? For the people in the South, it's important. If you really want to be successful in this thing, you have to start seed indoors. You cannot start them outdoors because you will not have enough growing season. Your growing season is too short. Look at my garden right at this moment. I'm actually in the north, in the south. I'm in the south growing, right? But if you notice, we in October and this garden is not gonna start produce until November. In November is when we're gonna get our frost, the heavy frost, and that's when everything gonna dry down. But we in October now, and hey, Lasha, this my sorrel. You see my sorrel? Yes, we in October, and everything is growing beautiful. The pepper trees, them green. Everything is green. So what I'm saying, guys, for the people in the north, try to get either a greenhouse or create a space inside that in your garage that you're able to start your seed from indoors. Now for the people in the north, in the south, I believe the people in the south, you don't have to. Thank you, Lassos. You could have a garden right down to November. For the people in from zone 8, zone 9, well, like in Florida, you stand a better chance because Florida, is more sunshine, is a more sunshine state. But if you're in zone 9, you listen me guys. I can't tell you what to plant, but you gotta know what to plant that can last. You see what I'm saying? Because if I only plant collard greens and cabbage and lettuce during the spring, I wouldn't have a garden today. You see what I'm saying? If I only plant cabbage, Brussels sprout, and these type of plants in the spring, I wouldn't have a garden today. Because if you notice, there's no Brussels sprout here. You understand what I'm saying? You got to plant things that can produce. And then, I don't know with peppers, but I know for sure my peppers, they don't start produce. They produce right down to the frost. I'm going to show you right now. We in October, and this is the top of the pepper tree. And if you notice, you still seeing flowers, and you still seeing small pepper. Same thing down here. You still seeing small flowers and pepper. These things do not stop produce at all. You see? Look at this, guys. This is one massive bell pepper. Yes. You see what I'm saying, guys? So you got to know what to plant that you could be able to harvest, go right down. And you got to, for the people in the north, you have to start them indoors, that you have time. You see what I'm saying? Because you got to remember, all these plants take a certain amount of time to produce. And some of them, the longer they get, the more they produce. So if your garden season is short, you have to start indoors, start your seed indoors, guys. Because you want to have a garden, basically a productive garden season. Meaning you will able to get more harvest than if you start in seed out. When April, starting seed outside. No, there's certain crop you could start seeds April because you have some squash that take 45 days. You could start them from April because they're gonna produce. But when you talk about pepper, when you talk about pumpkin, when you talk about ginger, turmeric, all these type of plants, you got to have them indoors growing already, because this is how you're gonna get that production. This is cassava. This is a cassava tree, and this started indoors because these crop take maybe a year. So if it takes a year, you have to start it indoors. Why? Because that's the only how you will able to get a crop. The same with the yam. The edos now, the edos, which this is the edos, and the tanyas, these crop take 6 to 9 months, right? Now, in my zone, you could leave them in the ground. But in other zone, you might have to replant them in the spring. So you got to come out early in the spring and chuck them in the ground. Some people start them indoors. Depends on where your growing season, your zone is. Maybe you need to start them indoors. But you have to think about, how am I gonna able to get more out of my garden, more out of my crop with my short garden season. You have to think about it, because this is how you're gonna able to get more out of your garden, more out of your crop. For the people in the south, in the north, in the south, I do think you could have a garden, a really long, productive garden season. It's all about what you're growing. That's what it's about. It's about the things you're growing. You could get a long, long garden season compared to the people in the north. Because the people in the north, their frost or come early, maybe October, and then maybe in April early May, it might come again. So it might, you understand? So these people in the south have a longer growing season than the people in the north. And I do think, if you really sit down and think about what you want to grow and do some research, trust me, you will always have food. Believe it or not, you will always have food, because you will only be harvesting. And especially, there's another way as well. There's another way. You plant your crop a certain way, so you will always have food. You will be harvesting all through the spring, all through the summer, right through the fall until that frost. All right? I'm going to show you this. This is a Edo, and I'm going to harvest this. Let me see. Hold on. I'm going to harvest a root of Edo. Hey, Jim Mama Grows, how you doing? Thank you for being here. What's going on? Yes, guys, I'm going to harvest a root of Edo, because you guys know I've been talking about Edos for so long, and I always try to encourage you guys to grow Edo. The reason why I encourage you guys to grow Edo is because it's a crop that you could eat the leaf all through the summer, all through the spring, all through the spring, all through the summer. And then in the fall, you harvest the root. I did a lot of videos showing you guys how I harvest the leaf. Now I'm gonna harvest a root of Edos for you guys to see what's underneath the ground. Now this is the Edo plant right there. That's the Edo plant, and you have to put your shovel at least 12 inches away from the plant, because you don't want to damage the Edos them. So I put the shovel and I sink it down. I sink it down really good. Let me show you the root. This is basically the Edo. This is actually almost something like potato. This is actually the Edo right here. Now I'm going to show you what I've do with the head of the Edo. In some places, you might be able to do this because if your ground freeze, it might be harder for you, right? Now what I do, I take off this part of the head. I take off this part, and this is basically the head. And what I do, I bury it back. Now, this gonna produce next year. This one gonna produce Edo next year. This gonna come up in the spring and produce more Edo next year. So this is what I'm basically trying to tell you guys about this plant. I know sometimes you might know about a plant, but that doesn't mean it ain't good to eat. And you know what I'm saying? And these are plants that will feed you and your family all through the year. Now, I start off growing 3 pieces of these Edos, 3 pieces. And now I have Edos growing everywhere. You see, a lot of them, the weather, you see, when you see they start getting mature, you see they start to dry, you see their leaves start falling down, and then this is when they start getting mature, so you know that they're ready for harvest. Okay, so this is the Edo. Let me see if I'm gonna harvest this one and see what's going on here. So actually, oh wow, this one is a nice one. This one is a nice one, guys. Wow. Oh wow, watch. This is 4 right here. This is 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10. So now we get 10 Edos from this one plant. No, and I'm sure there's more. Okay, 11 from one another, guys. 12. It's like you harvesting potato. 13. You see? 13. I get. What I do now, I cut the top of the top, and I take this and I bury it down. Now, this gonna come back next garden season. You see, just like that, guys. And guess what? Oh, thank you, Jim Mama. And guess what? I've been harvesting the leaf all through the summers. And now I'm actually harvesting the root. This is one plant. You see what I'm saying? And there's a lot to harvest. But I'm going to choose a nice dry day to come out and harvest. So what I'm saying, guys, you can, with this type of food, you could always have food. With this type of food, you cannot go hungry. You cannot go hungry. And let me tell you a few things you could use this for. Let me tell you a few things you could use this for. This, what you do, you could peel them and you could cook them in soup. You also could steam them. You also could peel them, and you also could make porridge. You also could make like how you make potato, mashed potato. You can do this the same. This is Edo. Do some research on Edo, guys, and you will see what I'm talking about. This is a very good crop to grow, whether in the north or in the south. It takes 6 months before it produces. So guess what? If you bring it out in April and bury it April, May, June, July, August, September, October, just like today, you will be able to harvest. All right? In some zone, you could bury back the head, just like what I now did. In others, the ground freeze. So it might be a harder chance for the plant. But if you're in the north, you can also grow this plant. If you're in the south, you can also grow this plant. Edo, do some research, guys. Do some research on this plant. You know what? Let me see what's going on with these other two. Every time I come here, I try to harvest a few because it's so much to harvest. You have Edos gone all the way over there, all the way back in the bushes down there, all up there, there's all down there, there's so much. And it don't take, see that's an auto there, try not to damage it. And guess what? It didn't take much root to create a pot. It don't take much root at all to create a pot. Like right here, I'm actually creating a pot right here. And the good thing about it is, guys, let me tell you the good thing about it. The good thing about it, you could replant the top and this come and produce another root like this for you. The truth is, it operates like the potato. It grow the same like the potato. It grow the same like the potato. So this is Edo, guys. This one is what we call the Edo plant. You see? There's a lot to harvest. Even going through this pumpkin over there, there's a lot to harvest. I already harvest a massive pumpkin harvest, guys. Not pumpkin, pepper. I now harvest pepper from 3 pepper trees. You see, all this is Edos over here. We have yam down there, but we're gonna allow the yam for go a little more. All go down there is Edos. All this is Edos to harvest. So you see what I'm saying? So now let me tell you what I do now. Every time I feel like eating Edo, I come and I dig a couple hole. You see? I come and I dig a couple hole and that's it. So let me show you. Because I did a live the other day where I harvest a few Edos. Yes. So every time I come, I able to harvest some fresh food from the garden. So now you come in the garden, you get some fresh okra. You pick some fresh pepper. You get some fresh Edos. You get some fresh seasoning, some herbs, and you're okay. So now garden season is getting to an end. I'm still able to harvest food, you see? And we actually in the end. Now, oh, you see, all this is Edos, guys. Now so in a few months, in a few weeks, which might be in the next month, we're gonna be happening. There's gonna be the frost. And the frost gonna come through and the frost gonna dry down everything. But the thing is, the frost would not do anything to these plants. And that's what's really nice. It's not gonna do anything it's gonna dry down the plant, but it's not gonna do anything to the food. So now what you do now, you take off the top and you bury them back. So this is a food forest that will always have food. Yes. This is a food forest that will always have food. So when you're growing in the north, I know it's challenging, but for the people who growing in the south, you have a lot more advantage than the people who growing in the north. So you should definitely take advantage of it, because you know you have the growing season, you have the time, especially if you start indoors. If you start indoors, it's a lot easier for you. So I just want to encourage each and every one of you. Happy gardening. Think about what you want to grow. Sometimes you got to go out of your comfort zone. Sometimes you might like a certain food, and that might be your favorite, but sometimes you have to think about your family. You got to think about growing enough to feed you and your family. All right? Because there's certain crap I wouldn't invest too much into. Why I wouldn't do that? Because they're not producing enough food for the family. So this is why you see, guys, just like that, simple Edo harvest, and it didn't even take me no effort. It's just a couple root of Edos, and I have food ready. You know, I have pumpkin, we have okra, sit down, guys, and think about what you want to grow, and think about what makes sense, because we're hitting some real serious time now, some real hard time, and we want to be able to feed our family. So if we want to, for the people who have the space too, you know, the people them who have the space, you take advantage of it now. All right, there's people who trying in container, there's people who trying indoors. I mean, shout out to these people, because there's people who actually trying to grow indoors, because it's so struggling for them to go outside. You understand? So I gotta say shout out to these kind of people, man, who actually trying. So for the people who have the land and the space, and listen me, guys, either just let go pumpkin and just let pumpkin run. You know why? Because you have the space. It's more challenging for the people who growing in containers or who have the small space. You understand? But don't just make use of what you have. Make use of what you have and what you can do, because you can't do more than you can. If you don't have the space, you're limited. But shout out to the people out there who don't have the space and still trying to grow something. Shout out to you guys, man. For real. Because it's not easy. It's not easy. And garden season is getting more challenging and more challenging every year. All right? So I just want to say, guys, thanks everyone for coming out. I appreciate each and every one. Shout out to all the members of this channel. Appreciate each and every one of you guys. Don't forget to hit that like button. I will truly appreciate it. And don't forget, on the ending of this month, I'm going to do a beautiful harvest before the frost. I'm going to be harvesting pepper. Yes, Jimama, hell yeah. For the people who growing in small space, shout out to you guys, man. Who I'm telling you, because you guys trying. There's people growing in their apartment. Shout out to you guys. There's people who use in their porch, their balcony. Shout out to you guys. For real, you guys trying. Hell yeah. But yes, guys, as always, appreciate each and every one of you for coming out today. Happy gardening to each and every one. And don't forget, on the ending of this month, wait, the last Thursday in this month, I'm going to be giving away a survival package to someone. I'm going to be giving away. Jim Mama, you still here? Did you receive something that I sent to you? Okay, but anyhow, I'm going to have a survival package giveaway where I'm going to be giving some fresh seeds like fresh pepper. I might even some edibles. I'm going to give away some edibles as well. Some pumpkin seeds to someone. All right? So don't forget and tune in. We're going to do a live on that. On the last Thursday in this month. Definitely. Yes. And hey Mike, I didn't send your package as yet. Why? Because I tell you I'm gonna be no Jim Mama no? I did the new address. I think I did ask you for the address and you did send it for me. And that's the one I think I sent it to. Well, if you have a new one, resend it for me. Okay? And I'll get some more over to you. And Mike, I didn't send yours yet because I promise you I'm gonna be sending some new pepper for you because I know you're the pepper guy. So I have some fresh seed that I want to send for you, which is this one. Yes, I ain't sent yours yet, Mike. Which is this one, the scorpion. I'm not sure if you have them, but I'm gonna send some fresh one for you. And this the monkey face. I know it did a serious harvest. And this one, I can't remember the name of this one, but this one is a hot one as well. I also have this one. Mike is the pepper guy, so yeah. I gotta give Mike some pepper, you know. This is the next one. This is the habanero. And also the bell pepper. And this tree, I'm gonna send some for you from this tree. Because this tree is almost 10 feet tall now. The last time I measured was 9.5. I'm gonna send some seed from this one to you as well. All right? Yes, Jim Mama, send the email for me, and I'll definitely get some back over to you. But I did send yours to you at the address you sent for me. Hopefully, okay, you want Edo? Okay. Listen to me, if you want Edo, I'll get some Edo for you. And you could grow the Edos in container as well. So, you see what I'm saying? You could grow them in a 5-gallon bucket. They do pretty well in a 5-gallon bucket. You see? But this is a crop I love to grow because you could eat the leaf and you could also eat the root. You can cook them just like potato. You got me? Yes, so I'll definitely get some over to you too, Jim Mama. All right. So yes, guys, thank you all again for coming out. I appreciate you guys. You guys have a blessed and wonderful garden season. I know we're in the fall now, but I mean, for the fall and then the spring, start getting yourself ready for the spring. Next garden season, yes. Don't wait till the spring start now. Get yourself together and let's just have a happy garden season for 2025. All right? Blessings, everyone. You guys have a blessed and wonderful day. Peace and love.